liberty, and justice for all.
Thank you. Does anyone have any additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda? Staff?
Yes, Chair Erickson, if there is time towards the end of the agenda, we have a request from Commissioner Corrigan to present an item through the Scott County Community Development Agency, if there is time. If not, we'll add a line going forward on our Economic Development Commission agendas stating commissioner updates. So if there's anything from a board or a task force or committee that you serve on behalf of the city or is related to the work that you're doing on the commission, there will be opportunity going forward on the agenda for that.
Sounds good. And I'd ask other commissioners that if we add that onto the agenda, if you have something that's of length, let Regina know well before the time that the agenda comes out. If it's just a quick update, that's fine. But okay, great. Thank you for doing that. Do we have consensus that the agenda move forward?
Yes.
As printed?
Yes.
Hearing no dissent, we'll assume that the agenda's been approved. Approval of the meeting minutes for the meeting of July 16th. Those are in front of you. Does anybody have any comments on those, changes, edits, additions?
No changes from staff.
Nothing from staff?
I'm good.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second to adopt?
Second.
Second by Angie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Moving on to general business, the first item is the strategic plan consultant recommendation, and I believe Regina will take over at this point.
Great, thank you. So I don't have a formal presentation for you. Just as background for the viewing audience and for the Economic Development Commission, an Economic Development Strategic Plan has been on the department, Community Development Department work plan for at least a year or two. We have, there's been funds allocated through the Economic Development Fund that we have here at the city. So we've begun to move forward in making progress towards that. Back in April, I was before the Economic Development Commission with a draft scope of services that we had hoped to launch soon thereafter with on our city website to seek out proposals for an economic development strategic plan. So that went to the EDC in April. We took that draft to the city council in May. They had some suggestions on edits, wanted us to come back to further refine the scope, and then we went back to them in June, got the okay to move forward. So we posted and launched the request for proposal on June 23rd of this year. We sent the RFP to consultants within the area that we know that do that type of work, as well as posted on our city website as well. The highlights that we had in the RFP, we had 11 goals within that RFP, work plan or task items that we wanted to be addressed. We did give a note that if a proposal saw something different or wanted to propose something unique or different, or saw maybe something that was missing a gap, we invited them to propose kind of in addition to their thoughts. So the items that we had discussed in that scope were setting a strategic purpose and direction setting, to perform a SWOT analysis, to do a baseline assessment of our demographics and economic data, to provide information on market trends, and to focus on development nodes. So one of the, we have areas within the city that could use some attention. So that is something that the council wanted analyzed a little deeper. Because this is a citywide effort, not just focused on one specific area. So looking at development nodes, looking at comparison cities, looking at best practices, providing a fiscal strategy and funding prioritization, looking at an inclusive economic development strategy. In the READY report, it alludes to working with our BIPOC businesses through the economic development work plan that we've set for 2025. We took that step further in looking at women-owned and veteran-owned businesses as well. Whenever we do a plan, we always like to seek out information from our stakeholders, so stakeholder and community engagement, policy review, what do we do now, what can we change, and then fiscal impacts and implementation costs is something that we wanted addressed as well. We had a really...
Sorry, Regina,
Oh, yes.
was item number 9 removed, or is it just a,
Oh.
a numbering?
A numbering issue,
Okay.
sorry. We had a really great response. We received 22 proposals ranging in cost estimates from $55,516 all the way up to $186,000 and some change. One of the goals I just want to point out was that the plan be cost effective. So kind of right off the bat, we did eliminate some of the proposals from our review. We ended up with I would say, kind of a top tier of consultants that met our criteria for review, which included firm experience, project management background, quality, feasibility, cost effectiveness, and other factors. So we did have a review panel of 7 city staff members that represented community development, public works, city administration, and finance reviewing those proposals. So we took kind of that top half and reviewed those further. And a lot was based off of, that first cut was based off of the cost of the proposals. There were some that were very dramatically different. The top proposals that we received were companies called Better City, Bolton and Mank paired with Ellers, Goldstone Consulting, John Stover, and Future IQ, Marketing Alliance, Maxfield, RKG Associates, Stantec, Thrive Consultants, and TPMA. So those were the consultants that we did a deep dive and reviewed further. In the end, the review panel of the 7 city staff members thought that Stantec's proposal stood out across the evaluation criteria. And within your report, there's further detail on why they were the standout. Overall, Stantec's approach demonstrates a comprehensive understanding of our vision, collaborative methodology, and they have a strong alignment with both technical and community aspects. It was also the most cost-effective. We were able to kind of refine that scope, and now we have a proposed scope not to exceed amount of $49,456. We are coming to you as a commission to provide a recommendation to City Council based off of City Council action. They would be not only selecting the consultant, but also approving the standard scope of services agreement with the selected consultant. So with that, staff does recommend that the EDC recommend to City Council selecting Stantec as a consultant to lead the development of the city's economic development strategic plan. If or when and if approved, I said that backwards, we hope to kick this off later this fall, so ideally in late October, early November, and this could be about a 6-month process.
And the city council will consider this when?
At their first October meeting.
Floor is open. Any comments?
Well, it appears you did a very thorough investigation of all the applicants, And for that reason, I see no reason to question what the results of what you've come up with. So with that in mind, I would recommend that we recommend the hiring of Stantec to do this study at an amount not to exceed whatever the dollar amount was that you, 49,000 something in there.
Motion's been made to recommend to the city council to approve Stantec for this project at a not to exceed number that was already previously said. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
There's a second to that. Okay, further discussion? I'll comment that after I read the report, when the packet came out, I reached out to some people I know who are in the field, not associated with Savage. And the replies I got were very, very positive about Stantec. So,
This is more of a question, but when I was reading through their proposal, I did mention, there was just a very brief mention of the downtown Savage redevelopment vision. Was that, and apologies, it was a few months ago, was that part of the RFP, or was that explicit that whatever consulting company is selected takes, builds upon, I guess, that vision as well? Because it was just mentioned very briefly. There's not a lot of detail.
Yep. Great question. The goal is to look citywide, but we can't ignore the work that has been done and that will be done in those implementation strategies that we have within that downtown redevelopment vision. So it'll build upon that, but it won't be the sole focus of this overall plan.
So that will be a separate initiative, is the downtown, the implementation of the downtown vision will be separate from the economic development plan. I mean, related, of course, interconnected, but a separate initiative.
Yeah, there will be tie-in together. Again, we can't ignore the downtown is a big part of the city, but it's not the only part of the city. So it will build upon some of that, but again, kind of looking more holistically citywide as well.
Okay.
they'll mesh is what I'm guessing.
It will.
Is what's
Yeah,
gonna
absolutely.
happen.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, for number 7, inclusive economic development strategy in the RFP, when you collected information, did you consider minority-owned business also, or it's just women and veteran-owned? Did you do that consideration? If you clarify.
Yep, great question. The goal would be to include minority-owned businesses, veteran and women-owned businesses, so all three.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I believe they specifically mentioned that in the proposal you attached, was all those were mentioned, correct?
Right.
Any other comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. We'll recommend to the council to approve Stantec.
Thank you. We look forward to working with them, assuming City Council moves us forward.
Good, thanks. Continuing business, would you like to update us, Regina, on the last month's tour of the CDA Entrepreneurship Center?
So we did a little field trip, Economic Development Commission members, Commissioner Corrigan, Commissioner Zastro, Commissioner Rasmussen, and Commissioner Erickson were in attendance, as well as one of our Community Equity Commission members was able to join as well. We were led a tour by Michael Wernicke with the Scott County CDA. He provided a presentation on all the great things that the Scott County CDA does in relationship to helping our businesses in Scott County grow, attracting people to Scott County from a business lens, providing resources to them as well, and highlighted the various programs that they have. Accelerated programs, mentorship opportunities, leveraging Next Stage, which is a consultant that comes in and provides resources, helps with business plans, access to funding, and highlighted those different programs. We also were able to walk around the floor where they are located within the building, and Michael was able to point out different office spaces that are available to entrepreneurs, small businesses. One was, I believe, a podcaster. There was someone in the more like medical staffing industry, and a few other businesses, and maybe some of our Economic Development Commission members that were there could add on. But it's really neat that they're able to. There is also a school that's associated with the building that they share. So it's the South Metro. I'm probably messing the name up. But there's students that come in, and for example, they have a photography studio, and some of the businesses have been able to leverage the students and their work, helping out with website design and photography for their website, or headshots for the businesses. So there's a great partnership that happens there as well. So I'd welcome any of the Economic Development Commission members to add their insights and what they learned, and it's a great asset that we have in our community, and something that our businesses and future businesses can continue to
The
leverage.
photography studio that you mentioned, if anybody saw the Chamber of Commerce newsletter, there was a photo of us standing there in the photography lab that day, so.
I enjoyed the tour. It was very informative for me. I wasn't not aware of that type of center being available. So I hope that it gets a lot of use and develops a lot of new business in Scott County in particular, but hopefully here in Savage, that people from Savage will utilize it and want to bring a business here.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a great deal as well, and thanks to Fred for,
Yes, thank you.
as kind of our quasi-host as a board member, so.
Well, thank you. If you weren't able to attend, I'm more than happy to set up some time for you to see the space as well. It's an open invitation, so happy to help coordinate that.
Good, thank you. Follow-up on the food truck ordinance.
Yes, so at the July meeting, we had a opportunity. Our code enforcement coordinator, Mitch Johnson, presented information on what we do now for our food truck ordinances, and then some potential changes for consideration. The Economic Development Commission heard that presentation, also heard from a couple of our property owners that own, one owns a strip center in our downtown area, another owns a Dairy Queen off of County Road 42, an individual property owner. They've been impacted by food trucks that have kind of established routes, I would say, in the parking lots. And the way our food truck ordinance is currently written, the idea is that the food trucks kind of turn over and they don't become a established brick and mortar location. And so there has been some concerns and complaints with that from brick and mortar businesses. The concern is they pay taxes, people are using their property to eat food and drink beverages, and kind of spilling onto their properties, and they had raised some concerns. So we brought this forward to the Economic Development Commission. The EDC recommended to make some minor modifications regarding no overnight parking of the food trucks, as well as, right now, we basically say that the food trucks need to hook up to generators. So if available, the food trucks could access electricity if that's available. Those were the recommendations from the EDC. Mitch Johnson at the next work session presented the recommendation from the EDC and an overview of our current ordinance and any ideas for potential changes. The council did agree with the Economic Development Commission on the recommendation, as well as wanted to put some restrictions on seating and chairs that would be available for customers. As well as, and the thought there was that it shouldn't be an extension of like a building or a restaurant, that there really should be like turnover of people coming to and from. And if you're going to have if you're going to sit there and eat, it should really be in more of a kind of brick and mortar type of establishment. The City Council also wanted to explore buffers. So in some cities, there's buffers between where like food trucks can be located, or where between each other, or between land uses or business type of uses. So for example, a food truck that sells hamburgers can't be next to Buffalo Tap. Or there has to be, it can't be right next door. There has to be, a mile, it needs to be a mile away, or it needs to be 500 feet away. So we're exploring what that could look like and how that could be managed. And we're going to present that information back to City Council in October. So we're exploring, like, is that feasible? Is that manageable? Is that enforceable? So those are some things that we're looking at as a staff, and to see what would those buffers look like and what would those parameters be. And we're presenting just that item back on buffers back to City Council at their work session, with the goal in either their last meeting in October or likely their first meeting in November, we will propose an actual red line change of what their desires are. So that's where that is at. Any other questions, or any questions?
Yeah, I do, if we may.
Certainly.
Last night, I had the opportunity to have dinner down at the American Legion. And as I was driving into the downtown off of Dakota, when I got to the intersection by Neeson's, I looked over into the parking lot where the farmer's market is, and I noticed 2 food trucks in there. So is that a usual thing on Tuesday night or every night of the week, that there are food trucks operating in that parking lot?
That's a really great question. I'm not sure if were they operating and open,
Well,
or were they stored there?
I didn't drive through the lot to know for sure, or drive down the street any further, but in the quick look I had, they had their flags on their trucks, so they gave the appearance that they were open, but I didn't see people on the street going to and from, and surprisingly, the parking lot was full of cars. So I don't know if Neeson's had bingo or something going on, that they had a crowd of people or what, but there were a lot of cars packed in fairly tightly around these food trucks. And to me, I would have thought they were in operation because they had their big floppy flags going and everything.
Yeah. We'll look further into that. I believe the folks at Casa Deli are storing a couple of their food trucks within the city parking lot. That's a separate issue because Casa Deli leases the depot building from the city.
Okay.
They don't lease space to store their food trucks, so that's something that we're working with them on. I know when I've driven by during the day that they have just been storage. They have not been open, the food trucks have not been open for business. But we can certainly look at the after traditional business hours to see if they're operating that, and we'll work with them.
Yeah,
on the
this would have been
solution.
like 7 o'clock at night that they were there. And I don't mean to rat them out or anything, but it was curious to see food trucks there, two competing trucks 20 feet apart, or what I thought were competing trucks, 2 or 3 parking stalls apart in that lot with a lot of other cars. So anyway,
Yeah, we can look into that further. Thank you.
Generally, the situation that Commissioner just mentioned, is that allowed in that area, or would it not be?
Right. Yep. So since the city owns the parking lot, one would not only have to be a licensed food truck within the city, but they would also have to seek permission from the city to be able to park there. So, and open for business. So it's not necessarily something that we would not entertain as far as, someone having a food truck, or, we have the farmer's market on Sundays. That could be looked at as a community, event and an asset to the community. But then you have the other side that, is it competing with the food that's provided at the Legion or Nison's or Buffalo Tap or Casa Deli, if it's not Casa Deli. And so, yeah,
The answer is it depends.
it depends.
Okay, good. Any other follow-up on the food
Mr.
trucks?
Chair, I guess just a question of the city council has been concerned about staffing costs. And as you were presenting the discussion about buffers, you mentioned that would certainly take some staff time to monitor and enforce that. Did this council have a discussion about whether they are willing to put more money into enforcement or not at this point?
I'm sorry, I'm not
Put
sure everybody
more
heard the
money
question.
to actually dedicate revenues to enforcement.
To enforcement, okay.
Generally speaking, the council is talking about, through their budget process, authorizing an additional full-time employee within community development related to rental licensing and some proactive code enforcement related to the work that we do in community development. So from a citywide lens, yes, specific to, what this may generate, I would say that hasn't specifically been analyzed. Staff, will include that in our background report to city council on, if we do have buffers, what that would look like for staff time and enforcement. We'll put some budget considerations to that.
Okay, thank you.
Is that additional body in the preliminary budget that's going to council right now?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions on the food truck?
Nope.
Okay, up to informational updates. First one's Chamber of Commerce update.
Yes. So there was State of the Schools earlier this month. School District 191, State of the Schools, I should clarify. We have technically 4 districts within the city of Savage: ISD 191, the Prior Lake School, Savage Schools, Shakopee, and then just a little bit of Bloomington in the very northern portion of the city. But there's a new superintendent at 191, so we heard from her and her ideas for improving the school district and just making it a better place for students, the employees, and the community. It was very well attended, kind of a partnership between the Burnsville Chamber of Commerce, Savage Chamber of Commerce, and a lot of community members were there as well. There was a mural ribbon cutting. If you have not seen it up close, I'm sure you've all driven by to get here to City Hall, but the library mural, some beautiful mosaic. There was ribbon cutting earlier this month, which the Savage Chamber was at. I'd invite you to take a closer look. Various times of the day, it just looks so different. If the sun's shining on it, or if it's cloudy, and just kind of get a different view each time you're there. So that's really impressive. The Savage Chamber of Commerce is hosting a fall fling at the Minnesota Horse and Hunt Club. It's networking, socializing event as well. And then on November 12th, they'll be at the State of the Schools for the Prior Lake School District. Overall, they're working on membership numbers, so working on renewals, working on attracting new members, as well as just communicating to existing members the different networking events that are available. So, and just opportunities. Sounds like the newsletter is getting still good traction, a lot of opens, a lot of good information sharing, not only events that are happening, but resources for businesses as well throughout the county and throughout the region, state and federal, just FYIs to be aware of. So,
Good.
yep.
MnDOT project on 13.
Yes, so a little over a month ago, I had reached out to the Economic Development Commission and the other liaisons for the various commissions, had reached out to commission members to see if there would be somebody able and willing to serve on a MnDOT project, Highway 13 visual quality meeting. As you may know, Highway 13 is currently under evaluation for much-needed improvements from a safety lens and a traffic flow and mobility lens. With that, there is community engagement through the visual quality update. There has been community engagement project updates and open houses, but specifically, MnDOT has hired a consultant, SRF, to lead the visual quality update. So members of the commission, members from city staff, from our public works, communications department, engineering, our community development department, that's me, the Chamber of Commerce are all in attendance from Savage representation as well as Burnsville representation, because this crosses two cities, to provide input on what impacts will the design and construction and the overall work, how will that impact the city, the businesses, how can we make this a pleasant experience, as non-impactful as possible, but then also going forward, what can we do to, whether it's art or preserving sight lines or increasing sight lines to things, what can be done to kind of improve the area. So there's a series of meetings. So far, there have been 2 meetings. The next meeting is October 3rd. Those will continue through March of 2026. There are representation from the Economic Development Commission is Jill Sims. So she's been providing input from a lens of the business lens from a city standpoint. And then again, we have representation from our other commissions as well, Parks Commission, Community Equity Commission, and Planning Commission, providing input from their lens as well. Happy to answer any specific questions that you might have. Again, this is an ongoing project led by MnDOT and their consultant group that they're working with.
Mr. Chair, how does the timeline of the work MnDOT's doing tie into the Stantec work? And is Stantec going to be at these meetings or have any input or at least be able to monitor the progress of that? I'm just worried that Stantec won't be able to keep up with the schedule and it will impact their work.
Great question, Commissioner Corrigan. So the Stantec team is aware, will be aware of the work that's done. We'll provide them with information. Again, the work that the Stantec team is doing, it's citywide, but this will be a something that they will weave and integrate as much as they can into the work that they do. Stantec is, the great thing is they do a lot of work throughout the metro, nationally and internationally. So they have a lot of tools and resources and have been through roadway projects before and will have a lot of tools and suggestions for us as well. So I'm pretty confident that they'll.
No, I guess my question was, will they be up to speed and prepared to fully participate in the MnDOT work? I mean, hopefully they're at a point where they can see whether the direction they're heading is consistent with what MnDOT's proposing.
You know, and along with that, Fred, is the downtown revisioning project. I mean, there's really 3 projects going on kind of all at once, and they're all going to be doing one of these things, I think, from time to time. It appears to me that there's going to have to be some very good coordination or transfer of information, I guess, so that each study knows what is going on with the other, that they either aren't duplicating or replicating the wheel or missing something because they think somebody else is going to do it.
As far as Stantec being at the table, I don't foresee them being at the table at the various visual quality meetings. They'll, certainly we'll point them to the MnDOT website. We'll prepare them with information when we meet with them on a consistent basis from a staff lens and keep them abreast of what's going on, the specifics. Absolutely. Commissioner Zastro, there's a lot happening all at once, and we'll just do our best as a staff to inform and each other of what's going on and try not to duplicate work. And it's, yeah,
A lot of coordination.
it is a lot of coordination.
You get to play traffic cop, don't you? That's good. Any other questions on Highway 13?
I have I don't know if it's a question or a comment.
Sure.
And you, it was brought up about, this MnDOT study looking at the impact on downtown businesses and things of that nature. And so my comment is relative to that. And, as I said earlier, I had dinner last night downtown at the American Legion. And while I was there, I had the opportunity to talk with the general manager, Sue, and I asked her, I didn't realize I wasn't tying in all these other studies to it, but my question to her was, is there, from your perspective, is there anything the City of Savage, the Chamber of Commerce, or you as a business and other downtown businesses could do to bring more people into the downtown? And because this was like 8 o'clock at night when we were having this conversation, and there were 4 patrons in the place. There were more employees there than patrons. And I was one of the 4 having dinner. And so anyway, the first comment out of her mouth was, this Highway 13 project is going to kill our business. And all the other businesses in the downtown, especially the bars, will go out of business because of that project. And she, it was a pretty doom and gloom type of comment, and maybe there's some overreaction there, I don't know. However, she understood the reason for the reconstruction of Highway 13. She wasn't questioning the need to redo the highway. She was obviously very concerned for her business as general manager that how are people going to get into the downtown to be able to patronize the American Legion or Buffalo Tap or any of the other businesses, food, beverage or not, if the access points are highly limited, which they're going to be, because there's really, from the south, there's only 2 ways into the downtown anyway. So, it was a serious concern to her, and one that I hope somehow in all these 3 studies that are going on simultaneously, they can pay really close attention to the survival needs of the downtown businesses.
I think that's a good comment, Mark. I hadn't given that a lot of thought personally because of where I live. When I go down to the Legion or any, the TAP or anywhere, I come in from the other direction, and those ways will still be open.
Right.
The way I come in, and so it never occurred to me that, I don't know the volume of business that comes to them off of 13 as
Right.
opposed to coming in from the south, so.
Well, I mentioned that to her too,
Yeah.
and she said, the Legion members are all, they're age 45 and above. And I said, well, just playing devil's advocate here, how many of them come down Dakota or Lynn off of McCall versus coming up 13? She did not know the answer to that, but she said, that's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a valid point. So it may not have much, if any, impact at all, the Highway 13 project, but if detours are such that McCall Road now becomes, quite the thoroughfare, or whatever, it could have impact on Lynn and Dakota and how you get on and off and in and out and whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I think as part of the traffic study, that's the question is, while let's assume for a moment it doesn't affect the businesses, that the same number of people still get there, but everybody learns to change their driving habits when there's road construction. So what's that mean for Quinton and, coming through the road and down Lynn? And those neighborhoods will be affected by probably additional traffic.
That's the road
cutting
I
through
meant
there.
Quinn, not Dakota.
Yeah.
I never keep any of those straight. Then.
So, good point. As a adjacent issue, it's not on 13, but I received this because I live there. Scott County's having an open house on Tuesday, September 23rd at the McCall Pond Learning Center to talk about the final plans they've got for upgrading McCall between 18 and 13. So what that means for me is I'm going to have to sneak out the back end of my
I got one
neighborhood
of
for a year.
those too. Yes, I was
They're going to close
not
off
looking forward to that.
yeah, the prime entrance there. So they're going to reveal their final plans, and I'll let them do that at the meeting, and you can go to see that. However, they announced in their flyer they're not going to do the whole project. They have what they call Phase 1 and Phase 2, and they're not going to do Phase 2. They're just going to concentrate on Phase 1. But that's kind of from 133rd Street down to the intersection at 13 and cleaning up the intersection down there by adding another eastbound lane. So you have two lanes going straight across instead of just one, and creating a better right turn lane going south. So a lot of different things. They expect to start it next year and hope to be done before the snow flies, supposedly, in '26. So
Mr. Chair, when is that and where is it?
the 23rd
Yep.
at the Environmental Learning Center. Starts at 4:30 and goes till 6.
At the Environmental Center?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
One thing with that is, it will, I think, potentially cut off people coming from Shakopee into the
Yes.
Savage area. Like maybe they may have come from Shakopee to go to some of the businesses in Savage, but that's really, between that and 13, it's going to pretty much cut off
Yeah.
that option, so.
Yeah, and our neighborhood we can get to Home Depot or something over there if we need to, but it's quite a circuitous route.
It
If
is.
you can't just jump down McCall, and that's all going to be closed off, so, yeah.
Be here at 7:15 in the morning.
I know, it's,
Helicopter, I don't know what I'll do.
yeah, you're right, that's, even to get here will be,
Yeah, it'll be a little crazy, but we'll find a way, so. On to general economic development updates.
So development-wise, here in Savage, Gallery Savage is the apartment building, just over 100 units. That's progressing really well. If you haven't driven past it off 154th, they're making a lot of headway there. They do hope to be open in spring of 2026. We're getting calls in community development of when can I rent space there? So we're directing people to their, right now, there's a phone number on their website. They don't have a splashy page yet, but people are very curious and want to live in those apartments. The Harbor Suites, that's an assisted living facility that was approved at 154th and County Road 27. They have not submitted yet for building permit. They do anticipate submitting in spring of 2026 for their building permit. That's their timeline now. So we'll keep track of that.
How many units was that again?
Good question. I think about 20, 18 to 20.
Yeah.
South Park Drive, another road construction project, that is anticipated to be complete, hopefully the end of September. Speaking of businesses, there have been a lot of concerns with our businesses within that area, just with routing, detouring, or impacts from construction. So everyone will be happy when that is complete. It will look really nice and be an asset to the community, but right now it's kind of a headache for not only our business community, but there have been some construction delays as well that have added to that headache. The Meadows, which is a senior living building across from Hy-Vee, just south of Lifetime. The second edition is in for application. That's 72 units of senior housing that is planned there. They're in the phase right now where they submitted an application. We've had comments back and forth from a staff standpoint on corrections that need to be made before they're ready to go to Planning Commission and then City Council. So they're not quite yet scheduled for Planning Commission, but they're really close.
Mr. Chair, what does that look like? What's the expansion look like?
The architecture will look similar to the existing
Separate
building. It'll be a separate building with a connection between the two buildings is proposed so that residents can access the services that are at the existing building. For example, they have I believe it's a hair salon and some eating facilities. So people that live in the one building can walk over to the other.
To the south?
That would be,
In their building in 42?
it would be, there's a vacant lot just to the west of the existing Meadows building. So there will be a connection, Skyway connection is proposed between the two buildings. The existing building is on that'd be the northwest corner of 42 and Dakota,
And the new building will be where?
just to the west of,
Across the road?
no, next to it.
Okay, so that brings up our discussion previously about the intersection crossing between Lifetime and Hy-Vee. Now we have more pedestrians, more people trying to get across that intersection. There was a child, I think, injured or injured badly this summer at that intersection. There's no way you get across those 4 lanes walking without being more agile than maybe all of us are. I guess I would just urge doubling the effort to do something with that intersection to make it safer, at least to make drivers aware that there could be pedestrians in that intersection, because a lot of those people are not walking up to 42. It's not easy to walk up from 42 from their front door to 42 and over to Hy-Vee. So again, whatever effort was put into that, I think it needs to be doubled for this addition, to the benefit of all of their residents and the townhomes and everything else that are in that development.
Thank you. Rivers of Life, that's an existing memory care assisted living facility that's just west of the Meadows. They were in for an addition, and that we anticipate will be approved through building permit soon. Quick Trip is in for building permit for an extension of their kitchen area, and that's off of County Road 42 as well. I will be speaking on Thursday at a Scott County Community Development Agency sponsored broker event, South Metro Focus, Deed, Greater MSP, as well as the various Scott County cities, townships will be at that event, and Minnesota Valley Transit Authority. This will be held at Canterbury. The invite focus is on Scott County, or brokers, to encourage them to do business and deals within Scott County. So opportunity to highlight the great things that are happening here, and just trying to highlight if the city has incentives, what those might be, land available, and just different opportunities. So that'll be an exciting event. I'll report back after at the next meeting. What else do I have? Lots of events. Just continue to follow our social media, as well as Let's Talk Savage. We've been adding development projects to our Let's Talk Savage platform, as well as road construction projects and other projects that perhaps our Parks Department's working on, or other departments. But it's a great way to stay in tune with what's going on in the community citywide. We've also re-engaged our development map. So the development map talks with Let's Talk Savage. So you can go to a map on our city website, click on a dot, and then it'll take you to more it'll have a little bit of information, but it will take you back to Let's Talk Savage for more information about the project specifically. So great to just stay aware of what's going on in the community. That's all I have for that item.
Good. Any other questions for Regina on those updates? None. We have a bus tour coming up on October 1st.
Yes, bus tour will leave promptly at 5 p.m. on October 1st. I'll send some follow-up information on that. The plan is to meet here at City Hall, get on the MVTA-sponsored bus, and drive down to South Park Drive. We'll pass the Meadows development along the way, and Rivers of Life will point that out. And we'll get off the bus to learn about the South Park Drive improvements. Someone from our engineering team will talk about that, what that means for the community. We'll then go to Creek Hill Park, and learn about that park, how the city acquired land for that, and what a great amenity that is for the area. We'll then go to Gallery Savage. Because it's still under construction and quite muddy at the site, what we'll do is we'll pull over. We'll look at the development to the south from the south side of the bus. The developer is we can perhaps get off the bus and look as well. But the developer, someone from the development team will be speaking about the project and why they ultimately chose Savage, and why now, and kind of talk just about their process and a little bit about their company as well. And then we'll go to downtown Savage, where we'll do just a mini walking tour this time. So wear good walking shoes, and I'll put some more information about that with the length of the walk and some options if your people on the bus are unable to do that walk. We have invited our different commissions as well as the city council, and staff will be in attendance on the bus.
And we're planning about 2 hours. Is that the?
Correct.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any questions on the bus tour? Last year's abbreviated one was fun, so looking forward to this one. It'll be good. Looks like we have plenty of time for Fred's presentation. Before we do, I just don't want to miss out on the chance to congratulate Commissioner Huss on her new addition and her family. So glad everything's going well. So with that, why don't we cue up Fred's presentation?
Are you ready to do it?
I'm ready, sure.
We can do that.
So this presentation was made to the SCALE meeting on Friday. SCALE is the Scott County Alliance for Association, for Leadership and Efficiency that was formed in 2003. That includes all the local governments, the school districts in the county, and the county government.
Commissioner Corrigan, do you want me to flip through the slides, or do you want
I
to
will
come over
mention
here?
when to- Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
Could I ask you, Commissioner Corrigan, to just speak a little bit louder or maybe more directly into the?
So you will change it for me? Oh,
Either, so you'll either have to come to the podium and click through, or I can click through the slides.
why don't you go ahead and do it? Okay. So the Bloomington Ferry Bridge opened 30 years ago today, this year. The bypass did not open until 1996. So we will have a bigger celebration next year for the whole project, which was the Bloomington Ferry Bridge, the 169 bypass, which goes south from the bridge south of Shakopee, and then the mini bypass, which was downtown Shakopee, which took mostly the truck traffic off First Avenue and kind of rescued downtown Shakopee, if you like, because up until then, the trucks coming in and out of Savage, the grain trucks, pretty much stopped any activity in the downtown Shakopee area. That's changed since 1996, but it was certainly a huge improvement. So this presentation was really put together with the the Scott County Historical Society, and it was kind of fun working with them because they added some features to this that I would never have known where to find. But people ask why it's called the Ferry Bridge, because there was a ferry there from 1852 to 1890. It was privately operated by a local business. And it was fun. It provided, and I didn't realize this either, provided an important connection between St. Paul and southern Minnesota. The Red River Valley Trail, we all know where the Red River is, crossed the Minnesota River here in Savage and Shakopee before continuing south to Mankato. I haven't quite made that connection. Why did the Red River Trail come all the way down here? But there was a lot of immigrant traffic coming from the river, moving up into the Dakotas, and apparently this was one of the major ways for them to get there. Bridge number 1 was constructed in 1892. It was built as a swing bridge, powered first by mules. I love this. Again, this is the History Museum adding some color to this presentation. Then a generator, and if all that failed, people powered if that broke down. By the 1950s, that bridge was in need of repair, and by 1968, the Metropolitan Council determined a 4-lane bridge would be needed at some point at County Road 18. 1975, this was kind of fortunate for the future of the bridge, but a bridge struck the bridge that was built in 1968. There was no accidental damage, but the inspection revealed structural fatigue and overstress when the bridge was open. The recommendation was a permanent closure and removal, which set the stage for a temporary bridge approved in 1977, initially due to be removed in 1983. That was extended to 95. That particular bridge cost $500,000, 2 lanes, 24-foot wide bridge, opened December 9th, 1977. Next slide. So my involvement with this is I was the co-chair of the Scott County Transportation Coalition, which was the group that had lobbied for a new Bloomington Ferry Bridge and the bypasses for many years. Actually, the first meetings, not of that group, but first meetings to get a 4-lane bridge across were started in the 1950s. So the Scott County Board of Commissioners approved a site for the bridge location in 1968. There was a number of choices. One was to come down Normandale and cross the river into Savage at that point, where the old swing bridge was. The interesting thing about that location is they couldn't find the bottom of the river. So when they were pile driving, it just kept going and going and going. and they figured that wasn't going to hold the bridge very well. So they moved west and west and west, and finally were able to locate the bridge, fortunately, right at the bottom of County Road 18. So the groundbreaking was in 1991, which is the picture, and the bridge opened on October 6th, 1995. It's 1.1 miles long. The cost of a bridge was $138 million, and over $100 million from the federal government. And the rest of the story is the impact on Scott County, but I wanted to just spend a minute on, if we have time, Mr. Chair, to talk about these dollars and the fact that the federal government at that time was matching 90% of projects like this. The state provided virtually the rest of this money by providing the other 10%. Roger Moe, who was the majority leader in the Senate, always started off the Senate session saying, we will match every federal dollar that we can. At 90%, 10% is a pretty good deal. So when you consider that there was really almost no local direct dollars involved in this bridge, and had that been built 10 or 20 years later, to give you an example, the Stillwater Bridge cost over $600 million, and that didn't include some extensive local dollars that went into it for utility replacements. Our timing of getting this project done was fortunate, at least. So in 1995, the Scott County Transportation Coalition, working with the Met Council and justifying some of this federal money, did some 2015 population predictions. And so at that time, those numbers predicted Jordan would grow to a population of 3,425. Actually grew after the bridge, by 2015, after the bridge was open, that population had grown to 6,000. Prior Lake was predicted to go 19,000. It actually grew to 25,000 by that. So in, 1996, in 10 years, there was significant growth in population going on. I was kidding Brad Larson, the city manager, at this meeting that I'm not sure quite what happened to Savage, but they didn't quite make the projection. Shakopee certainly was the biggest, had the biggest impact of predictions of 25,000, and actually had grown to 44,000. I moved here in 1975. Shakopee was 8,000 people. And so the amount of growth that's taken place over these 30 years is really impressive. Next slide, please. So these are some of the population, you just saw some of the population increases. During that period from 2000 to 2020, Scott County was the fastest growing county in the country. So the impact of infrastructure investment, especially south of the Minnesota River, has been dramatic. Next slide, please. One of the goals that the county quickly came to, even at $136 million, these are expensive projects. And so one of the goals became, of the county became to provide more jobs in the county so that people did not have to commute out of the county. And that, obviously, most of that commuting was taking place to the north. A significant amount was taking place to the east, to Dakota County and into St. Paul. But you can see that in 2000, 35% of the residents in Scott County were actually working in Scott County. By 2010, that had got to 34,000, at which point there was a group that really is a predecessor of the CDA's efforts to bring more employers to the county, which was called First Stop Shop, and that was a effort to have a single body that would react to businesses that were looking to locate here, and the event on Thursday is part of that effort to introduce companies locally and nationally to Scott County and the advantages of locating your business here. So at that time, they set the goal 50% by 2030, we wanted 50% of the residents to be able to work in Scott County by 2030. Well, we got there by 2010. And 2019, we're up to 40%, 2021, 56%. It fell off a little bit in 2023, but that target of 50% was reached pretty quickly, and again, in part because of this investment in infrastructure. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, the actual opening of the whole project is next year, and we hope to have a community celebration at that time, and again, to let people know we're here, and it's easy to get across the river. Other notable anniversaries that are kind of going on at the same time, the 50th anniversary of the Community Development Agency, which started as an HRA in 1976, I'm sorry. The 50th anniversary of Valley Fair was 1976, and that's what brought me to this county. The 40th anniversary of the Scott County Transportation Coalition, and the 22nd anniversary of SCALE. I think that's the last slide. The last thing I would mention is all of these activities, all of these anniversaries indicate rather a unique, it is unique in local government. I think the chair would agree with this, that for whatever, maybe the water in Scott County, everybody gets along when these projects need to get going. And this Scott County Transportation Coalition included pretty much all the communities along in the 169 corridor who put staff time mostly. As you can see, we did a lot of effective lobbying and didn't have to put a lot of our own money into it. But one of the main things that made this project go ahead so quickly was that the city of Shakopee bought the right-of-way for the bypass. And that right, so MnDOT did not have to buy that right-of-way. And they spent $1 million doing that. But it went from something like a project on MnDOT's list at number 46 to number 4, because the right-of-way was there, it was available, they could start building and make this project work. But all of these anniversaries, the CDA is another that involves all the local communities working together to make this a better community, a better county, and to provide for both employment and wonderful residential opportunities. So it's a great story, and it happened pretty quickly.
Good, thank you. Any questions for Fred on the bridge?
We will
Thank you
keep
for
telling
sharing
the
that.
story for the next couple of
Well,
years.
we're glad we could get it in, and we're still on time, so wonderful.
Oh, I have to tell you, I don't know, I'm going to do this.
Hold it, you're out of time. No,
I'm going to have to do this from memory, because there was a note on one of the slides.
Oh.
Can you see those slides?
Yeah.
The cost of going across the bridge, across the ferry, I'm sorry, it was 10 cents.
10 cents.
10 cents, I think. Thank you. Bye-bye. I think it was 10 cents for a team of horses in 1820. And then that
When I
went-
saw the picture on your slide, I remember the movie True Grit.
Can you
if remember
see
that
the note?
scene where they're trying to get their horses on this ferry, and the guy was going to pull them across the bridge or the river?
I can't see the note. If you want to just tell,
I'll
I
read
thought
it.
that was a fun note. And again, working with the History Museum, where she found those numbers, I don't know, but it was fun working with her.
So the note says, the ferry shown in the picture in the background, you can see the cable stretched across that a team could be guided across. The cable could be raised and lowered to allow boats to pass. The Bloomington Ferry charged 25 cents per team, 15 cents for a man on horseback, 10 cents for a person on foot, and 10 per head of livestock.
There you go. There's the history of the Bloomington Ferry Bridge. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
There you go. Great. Anything else for the good of the order?
Move we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you. See you next